Hello and welcome to OverAnalyzing with Katana Ray, that's me. So on today's episode, I'm joined with Bijou Bentley. Last night live on in live stream on Facebook, and I realized about 20 minutes into it that I was not recording the actual interview, only my audio on my side. So you can kind of hear her only because my headphones are on so loud. So I'm going to try to have this first part kind of mainly just me talking. You can kind of faintly hear Bijou. If you have headphones on, you can probably hear her better. But just know a little bit later on, the audio does improve and there will be actual video footage coming up soon. So just stay tuned for that. And without further ado, here's the episode. Okay, and we are live. Welcome to my my newest episode of Overanalyzing with Bijou Bentley. I'm Katana Ray. Bijou just got off a digital drag hour on Instagram Live. So say hi, Bijou. You're welcome. Thanks for doing this. And it's hard to coordinate schedules when it comes to online drag.
Digital, it's like I don't want to be in it more than I have to be.
Yeah, so I'm trying to be like, oh, if you're gonna be in drag already. Yeah, very that. Okay, so I'm not gonna dawdle too long because I don't want to have a 2-hour long session. You know, it's fun to do all that, but I will let you introduce yourself a little bit, but I'll just open it up. How long have you been doing drag, and when did it start for you?
So I feel like I first dipped my toes into the drag pool in 2011, almost a decade.
Isn't that funny? Yeah, I was just talking about it with Claire. It's my 8th year, I think, because it's our 7th year with Eves this year. So I think it's my 8th year. Actually, today is my anniversary. I just realized. Thanks. April 7th, 2012. Was at UOP. Was their student run drag show. That was my first actual public show, other than YouTube. How did Bijou even come to how did that even come to be? How did that start?
So for me, I was always growing up, I was a really feminine kid, and it wasn't until I feel high school, end of high school and college, where I embraced any kind of masculine anything. I just remember as a kid having the pink Power Ranger costume because she had the little skirt. So I mean, she's always been there. But the first time I guess I did drag was a Halloween, which it's pretty standard for people, I guess. And then that was a one-time thing, and then just watching Drag Race, I was the first season that I was really into was probably season 3.
Same. Me too.
I could do that. I think I could do that. And I couldn't. A couple years later and better drag, I feel I'm doing something now. There wasn't the same social media presence with drag as there is today. I was the tutorials I had were BoyWithBrushes.
Who's that? Who?
And Petrolude and
Petrolude, yeah.
Or Missy Maven is Petrolude, and then there was one other.
Misty Maven and Misty Eyes.
Yeah, that was
Mm-hmm.
it. And I had 2 Tumblr friends that were oh, I'm dabbling in drag, and I was I could probably do that. And at the time it was I thought I was hot shit because I didn't have anything to base it off of.
True.
You know what I mean? Aside from TV.
Mm-hmm.
But on a local level, I wasn't 21, so I wasn't going out. I didn't have any friends that were even interested in something like that. So to me, I was they were all oh my god, you're gorgeous, you're beautiful, and I'm
No, I know exactly what you mean. Okay, now I'm recording again. So, do you mind talking about Liz?
Sure.
So what's the dynamic, and how did you guys start doing drag at the same exact time, or did you guys meet through that, or et cetera, et cetera?
So when we met, neither of us were doing drag. I was introduced to it earlier than he was. Honestly, I don't know. I can't speak for everybody, but I think for maybe I would like to think a lot of gay people probably are like this. At first, seeing drag is it's very eye-opening, but it's also funny, but like for the wrong reasons. Like funny, like, oh my God, like what is this? You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
And like my initial like exposure to drag was like videos like old videos of Divine. And to me it was like, okay, like it's the songs are kind of a bop, but also like what is this man in a dress? You know what I mean? Um and because I feel like other than that, like okay, like my initial exposure was like probably like middle school. And like at that time, like what else was there? There's like Mrs. Doubtfire and like any kind of like TV where like drag is very much the butt of the joke.
Medea?
And like Medea, like Maury, like is that a man or a woman? Like all that kind
Oh
of
my god,
stuff.
it's
Like
so problematic looking back at
where
it
like
now.
drag and just like gender identity is like this like confusing like humorous like whatever. So we weren't together at the time. Like he was still here and I was there when I first started like dabbling in drag. And he wasn't about it at first. And he'll tell you this to himself too, but like the first time like he was like kind of like in a little bit of makeup, he was like, oh no, I'm pretty. And we all know she's pretty. So it's like, it like maybe unlocks something or whatever. But his idea of, oh, I'm pretty was still like
Yeah.
rough. But it was initially like neither of us knew what we were doing. And we were both like very new to it. And like I said, like had no aside from like maybe a couple people I knew and like Drag Race, like no real like anything to go off of. Our big like claim to fame is like we would go out to Applebee's and get half price apps, full drag, like us and a couple friends, and then like friends that weren't in drag, and we would go to Applebee's in the middle of nowhere and sit there wait for 10 o'clock to roll around, sit there and order our half price appetizers and sit there and eat them, go home, take the drag off. And that's what we did.
That's fun.
We weren't like old enough to go anywhere. And it was like looking back, like in the moment, I was like, oh yeah, whatever. But like looking back, I'm like, that was very bold to be going out like with kind of like people the way they are, especially like where I was living at the time. Like,
I think about that too, like when we used to go to Denny's a lot after shows. I'm like,
yeah,
well, because our show is, it's on a Thursday. So
right.
there was no one really out on like a Thursday, like 2 a.m. night, Friday morning. But if we went out, I remember one time we went out with when Honey Mahogany was coming to perform at Paradise. We took her to Denny's afterwards, and like it was like a Saturday night. There's people in there, and there's a whole different vibe. It wasn't like, I think I was in face but out of drag, and then Honey was still in drag from like head to toe, and then Helen was out of drag. So like the first thing that when we walk in, the first thing that someone at the booth was like, "That's a dude," like hella loud.
Yeah, and it is scary. Like
Yeah.
I don't like it doesn't matter like who you are, like how like brave and like comfortable you are, like being put in that situation is like, like ultimately like we're putting ourselves in like danger because you never know how people are gonna be.
I guess the start till now, what are like your drag inspirations, or what inspires your drag?
So I know you and I relate to on this note, but like my first like big like drag inspiration was like Manila. I was so inspired by like to me like watching because I watched a little bit of like season 2 of Drag Race, but like the first season that I really followed was 3, and to me it was like she had this like amazing mix of glam and camp, and I was like, not to say like campy queens aren't pretty, but she was still like gorgeous and like pretty and like whatever you want to, however you want to describe it, but also was like didn't take her drags too seriously, was like, oh look, I'll come out dressed as a goldfish, I'll come out whatever. And to me like that was like what I really, that was my first like real thing that I like connected with. I was like, that is what like I pictured myself as. And obviously starting drag with my wardrobe being Forever 21 clearance rack and H&M clearance rack, like it was nothing like that, but that was kind of what I wanted for my like drag character that had not yet been developed.
Manila was like my first like major like inspiration where I was like thinking about like I can do this, and also I want to do it this way. And between her and Sharon, Needles really like pushed me over to like the doing it part. because she had like that kind of dark aspect to her, which I gravitated towards. Also, the fact that Manila was half Asian and white,
Right.
like me, was something that I was like, oh, that's cool. It's like, it was different, and I I related to her, even though it's a little bit different now. Like, it's funny because Raven, at the time when Raven was on season 2, she was like the villain, the bitch of her season. And then after I started doing drag, I actually looked up to Raven a lot more. Like, Raven's like my like drag icon or whatever, because of just her quality of drag and her performance art and stuff like that. Like, I appreciated her after Drag Race. Well, like during like All Stars and stuff, I liked her too. But this was like during season 4 or 5 era, so she was only on Drag Race at the time. She was only just like doing the showgirls at Mickey's a lot on YouTube, and I was always watch those. I used to watch all those videos like all the time.
Yeah, us too.
I used to watch them like all the time, and now I just watch them like if I see someone I like, I'm like, oh, I'll watch that one. I don't know why I stopped getting like excited about watching that stuff, because for a while like Raven wasn't even there. She was like working for RuPaul, so I was just like, I don't want to watch it if she's not there. But depending on who was on there, I'll watch it.
You go on here. I have a few of your looks from your Instagram page I want to pull up.
Okay.
And we just can talk about them. Like, just describe. Well, actually, let me just pull this up right here.
Yeah. So for that, for anybody who's not familiar with Slayground, this year Helen's been doing it in a way where it is a group of 3, and she gives you 3 basically like categories or genres for music. And so for Juliana, Liz, and I, themes were, oh God, it was like disco inspired, international, and R&B
that's right.
from a soundtrack.
That. Yeah.
And so initially I wasn't sure what, I was like, I'm comfortable. I feel like I could comfortably do any of the 3. So I was like, y'all pick what you want and I'll take whatever. But I actually had this performance in mind for something unrelated. Just like, it was like one of those things, you know what I mean? Like where you just have an idea in mind and you're like, I'll do it eventually. And so I was like, okay, well, international, Kylie Minogue, now's my chance to like take this and run with it. And I felt like for a Slayground style competition performance kind of thing, it would go over really well there.
I remember I was recording it and I was like putting it on Instagram and I was like, like doing it live as it was happening.
Mm-hmm.
And I totally missed like the reveal. Like I saw it with my eyes, but I didn't see it like with my camera. So I was like, yeah, I missed it. I had a pretty good view because I was like on the side and I was tall enough to like reach over. But
yeah, and it was fun. Happened. I was really excited by like how gagged everybody was by it because I practiced it a couple times and I was like, okay, I'm sure it'll go fine. But with any kind of like big thing like that, there's always the like initial concern that maybe it won't go as smoothly as it's supposed to. So I was happy with it.
So is it just connected by buttons on the inside, or is it like Velcro?
So it's Velcroed on the front and the back, and then the gloves are sewn onto it so that I told the boys that were helping me, I was like, just grab my hands, literally just pull the glove right off. And so it like stretched out that way.
That's cool. Yeah, it worked out pretty flawlessly. The next one is like the next colorful one I found. This was inspired by someone else, right? It's one of like artist friends or
So that is inspired by my friend Tony. He's done some art for me in the past, and he just draws like a lot of really cool like demon boys. They're very much, they give me like very like Oni vibes from like Japanese like culture. But like demon boys, and they're like blue and sometimes they're green, and I had wanted to do a look inspired by his stuff for so long. And just like, I mean, you know how it is, like doing a show at Eve's or wherever, it's like, okay, I have to do a look, but it has to go with 2 or 3 looks at least, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, well, I want to paint myself blue, but I'm like, then I need 2 performances where it's appropriate to be blue, and then potentially like a 3rd outfit where like I'm also going to be blue. So I ended up doing it for a night when Liz was booked at Capitol Garage and I was just going with, and I was like, okay, I'm just going to show up and go out in a look because I have nothing better to do tonight. And it was a nice excuse to like do something different that I wouldn't normally do.
Yeah, I like when like I can go out and do something different. I hate when like I do something different and it works out the first time, and then do it again, it's not come out the same way.
Right? Isn't that the worst?
Yeah, because like when I go out on Mondays for karaoke, like that's like my time to like practice something different that I've never done before, because I don't really have to perform. It's just kind of just to show up and show face, and then sometimes I'm like, I kind of wish I was performing, or whenever it comes out good, there's no one there to perform to. So I'm like, I guess it's just...
That night, Mercury was like, do you want to do a number? And at first I was like, no. And then I was like, okay, it's full and people are actually tipping really well. So I was like, sure. I ended up making like $25 or whatever. And I was like, well, you know what? I'm here anyway. Might as well.
The next one. This is probably one of my favorite ones, and you'll know it very well. And it's funny because my comment is actually on the screen.
Oh my God. An iconic look.
It's like just the moment. It's kind of like there's a picture of Jim Morrison on like a t-shirt I saw at like a Doors. Is it even the Doors? Like he was at a concert and he's like passed out on stage, and like everyone in like the area of the crowd is just looking up at him like confused. And this kind of reminds me of that if I was like in black and white, but there's just so many things to it that
so an explanation behind that. So like I said, starting drag, I was from like middle of nowhere, like Lancaster, Pennsylvania. So like Amish country, farms everywhere. That was my first time performing at like a Pride related event. I was under the impression that I was performing in the bar, and then they were like, oh no, we're outside. And I was like, oh, I mean, I guess that makes sense because it was, middle of the day.
Yeah.
And it was raining prior, and I was like, oh my God, like I'm going to be dancing around in the street and it's going to be wet.
I remember you telling me that, yeah.
But it was cool because it was like I said, like my first time doing like a Pride related event, really.
Mm-hmm.
And I would have probably picked something a little more like family appropriate because I performed Nasty Girl.
That's right. I was trying to think, what's this again? I forgot.
And, but it was cool because it was like I think it was probably like my younger siblings. I think it was just my sisters were with. Maybe my little brother was with. But it was like my younger siblings, like first chance to really get to see me perform in drag. Like I was living at home and like going out. So like they saw me in drag all the time. But it was their first time getting to like see me like perform.
Mm-hmm.
And there's actually, I'll have to send you them. But there's other pictures where like my little sister's like picking up my tips that I like threw down on the ground. It's so cute.
That's funny.
But yeah. People see that picture and they're like, I didn't know you could get down like that. And I'm like,
yeah, Charlie High Angels
I
get down like that.
I just can't get back up.
Girl, I didn't know you can get down like that. Charlie High Angels get down like that. Look how old this picture is, and it's like from 21 weeks ago, whatever. And then me 3 weeks ago was like, I forgot about this. And that's when I posted that Instagram story with like the independent woman in the background. This one's really cool. I should have I was gonna get the Donkey Kong one too, but no, I didn't screenshot that one.
Yeah.
I remember when you made this one too.
What was this? Was this for something or?
So that was for during Halloween when we did our Mask for Mask Week. I was like, I really want to do like something where it's like my full face covered. I want to do like a face skinny kind of looks, which I have on underneath that. I remember looking up so many like tutorials on like how to try and make that, and there weren't a lot.
Should have made one.
Basically what it is I made Liz go to the 99-cent store and get me 2 big like plastic bowls, just like red felt and white felt, and I think it's like white, some kind of like white stretch filled with cotton and then like taped around. So it's really just 2 bowls, and then I cut a big hole in the bottom. I was gonna wear that the Sunday before quarantine, actually, for sidetracks, and then they were like, "Oh, actually, the show's canceled," and then everything else that was ever gonna happen was also canceled.
That was when you're gonna do Isabel again too, huh?
Yeah, I was like, let me pull out, because for sidetracks, I never know. Like they're hard to read, but they usually like when I do like a weird like nerdy references for whatever reason. So I was like, I'm gonna be pro on a plan. I only did it that one time, and I was like, let me pull it back out, but it never happened.
It's funny, like when like I'm looking for something and I expect it to be on YouTube as like, where's the tutorial to make this random
right?
And then I end up making it and it ends up coming out good, and I was like, I could have made a video about this. I could have recorded myself doing this.
You still could.
I still could.
I'm sure there's a lot of people who want to do that.
Like, because you can make that as a prop, you can make that
right.
You can even make...
But it was also like some of them were like very involved, and I was like, I'm not like about all this.
You could also probably make one for like, I don't know if you're a fan, but like Little Shop of Horrors.
Okay, true.
You can make like a green one.
The tutorials I ended up like really watching was like Plants vs. Zombies, which is essentially like, you know, the same thing.
Yeah.
But it was like some mom that was like, my kid wants to be like the plant from Plants vs. Zombies for Halloween. I was like, works for me.
I remember this performance. I remember seeing it on Tumblr. Was it Tumblr? I think I saw it. I don't know if I saw it on Tumblr, but it was like way back when you performed at like at a school or something.
That's a classic Bijou.
Yeah.
It's one of those numbers where it's like, I don't dislike it, but it's almost like I've done it so many times that I'm like, I kind of roll my eyes at it. It's always like a crowd pleaser. You know what I mean? So it's like, there's that like difficulty between like, I know the crowd's going to love it, but also like, I've done it so many times. But yeah, the first time I performed that was at a school show. I believe that was probably the first time. And I've done it plenty of times since, but it's, you know, like Willy Wonka. I don't remember like what like sparked the idea in my mind, but I literally like posted on Facebook and I was like, hey, does anybody have like an inflatable blue like morph suit thing? And my one friend was like, oh my God, like somebody gave me one as a gag gift and I've never used it. And he was like, let me mail it to you. And he did.
How does it even work? Like, is there a fan inside or something?
So yeah, it's got like a fan attached to the back and it's got a switch. So it's like so involved. And so that's part of why I hate it too, because, you know, all the underdressings of drag to begin with, I typically wear like a bodysuit under it. And then I have to wear the inflatable suit, which is not, you know, anything crazy, but it's plastic and it doesn't breathe. And then on top of that, I put like a robe or whatever kind of reveal I'm wearing.
Yeah.
So it's like so involved. And then, yeah, there's a fan on the back. So I like thread the like switch up through the arm so I can flick it on my, like with my hand. And then it starts to inflate. And it's fun. And like I said, it's always a crowd pleaser, but it's like, it almost feels like a crutch. You know what I mean? Like, oh, should I pull that out again?
Well, it's like, yeah, it's funny because it's like, you can have like a signature performance, but what's the line between signature and also like, you do that a lot, girl? Like, whenever you Kill Bill, I feel like I do it all the time.
Everybody knows that performance. Like, because the thing is, like, yes, like, you can love it, but like, for me, like, I'd still rather do something like fresh and new. But I'm like, why am I chewing actual gum for this? Like, I'm so like, my mouth is so dry.
Is it hard to chew gum and lip sync at the same time?
Like, it is and it's not. You know what I mean? Like, it's one of those things where it's, can you like chew gum and walk at the same time? But like, chew gum and dance and lip sync and take people's money and inflate your body. And
I love how like in this one you look like you're like 3 feet tall.
I look so small. That was also my first time performing like at Badlands with a Rue girl, so I was so excited about that. So I was like, let me pull out something that I know the crowd will like. And I was really glad they did, because I was like, at the time I was like, I gotta impress like the booking people, and I gotta like show like, because that was with Aja that night, and I specifically like reached out to booking and I was like, hey, like, I don't know if you have anybody for this night, but if not, like, I would love to do it. And they were like, oh, well, we're not actually going to do a drag show with it. And so I was like, oh, okay, cool, whatever.
You thought?
They reached out back to me and they were like, okay, actually, we're going to do, well, it was just me and then A to B.
Oh, that's right.
So, like, Adriana and Mora and
BB Sweetbriar?
Yes, BB. Yeah. I was like, I could picture her, but I couldn't think of her name. Yeah.
And then this is one of your latest creations.
Lincoln Dio Bentley. Yeah. So
oh my God, I just got it.
So for Eve's we were gonna do a drag king night. And I'm crossing my fingers that still happens. Yeah, I would love to do it. But I got reached out to by Cat Sass from Chicago. They asked if I would do their show Goddess, which I've been a fan of for a while, and it's just they had asked if I would do it last time I was in Chicago, but I think they ended up it was the week after I was there in February, so I couldn't. But you know, one of the appeals of quarantine drag and digital drag is you can kind of get, you know, this cast from all over the world.
Yeah.
And make it happen, and especially with these Twitch shows where it's all pre-recorded.
Yeah.
So Kat and their team put together this really cool cast of characters for Goddess, and that was last Wednesday. And I was like, okay, let me take the chance to kind of put something together that I wouldn't normally be able to in a club. And so I performed two for the price of one by ABBA. And it was one of those numbers where I was like, I would love to do this sometime. But the involvement of like getting one or two, like at least one or two other people involved in it and like having it choreographed and like figured out, like that's a lot. You know what I mean? And so I was like, okay, let me figure out how I can do this all by myself. And so I went to the Dollar Tree and I bought like 15 pieces of green poster board and I set up a green screen and I was like, okay, let me play the two lady parts and I guess I'll be the man too.
How was it like discovering? How did you like come up with your? I know like you were inspired by another drag
performer.
Yeah, so drag kings, it's hard. Like I give them so much credit because they have so much fewer like references. You know what I mean? Like and they're out there doing amazing things and it's kind of like you have to kind of think of it like when we started drag. You know what I mean? Like granted there was still a lot, but we only had like immediate access to so much. And so with kings now it's like I feel like people give them a hard time, but like you have to keep in mind that they don't have the same like amount of references that we do. So I really like I had two different kings like pulled up on my phone while I was doing this. Demon Daddy, who is from I want to say Miami or somewhere in Florida, I believe, off the top of my head. And does really cool drag. And then also Tenderoni, who's probably one of the like I would say maybe one of the most well-known drag kings, at least right now.
Yeah, he's probably like the second, like next to like Landon, he's probably one of the most like social like media aware, like people know him.
Somewhat like new too. Like I feel like has only been doing drag for maybe like 2 years or so, and like has like really made a really strong name for themselves. But I really like kind of modeled myself after kind of their makeup. And like the whole time I was doing it, I was like, oh, I don't know about this. But then at the end, I was like, okay, I feel kind of hot.
Yeah, I know how that is.
It's like different because it's like, yeah, like as a boy, like whatever, like, you know, it's not that I don't like how I look, but it's like, it's very different to see myself in this very overly like masculine portrayal of myself.
Yeah, it's probably like the same. Like I would have said similar effect as like if you get like a AFAB like a cis woman that like does like glamour drag for like a day just to see how it is, and then I was like that when I first did Bento, like Ben, he when I did that makeup for the first time. I don't know why I've only done it once and that's it, because it was actually like interesting and fun to do, but I always feel like in my mind like I have to do makeup for a certain reason, and I don't know why. I just don't do it just for fun because I have plenty of time. But I did like the whole chest and ab contouring too, and I was like, is this what it feels like to have muscles? Because I was like looking in the mirror and I was like, this is weird. Like I've never been like defined like this.
It was like, yeah, if it would have like been fitting for the performance, I would have like it for like Eve's when we do that. I would love to do like body contouring and painting and stuff too. But for this, I was like, it doesn't really fit the song. But
yeah, it was legit like it was a challenge. Like I had to look at like a men's.
Yeah,
I was like, how did men's faces and bodies look? And I had to look at them and be like, okay. And
it's weird because like I mean, you and I both are like, you know, we have our look. You know what I mean? Like and like starting drag, like yes, like I'd look at reference pictures and I'd have like, you know, kind of like not an inspiration like mood board, you know what I mean? But like I had like a folder of like, this is what I like and this is what I want to look like. And so now to like, you know, obviously I'm not looking at pictures when I'm getting in drag unless it's something very specific. So like putting this on, I was like having to like look back at pictures and be like, wait, how should this be? Yeah. It was like a very like eye-opening experience.
Yeah, I haven't done that since I did Juliana's attempt when I did her makeup, and I was like, how does she do her makeup? Like, I was like, how does her nose look? How does her eyebrow look? I'm like, I had to do all that, and I was like, this is hard.
And I realized as I was recording the audio, I forgot to like record the first 3 looks as I was talking to you.
Oops.
So this is gonna be fun editing this together, just putting all this chunks. I have my headphones on close to the microphone, so I can kind of hear like the murmurs of your responses, so I can kind of sync it up. Hopefully, we'll see. It's gonna be
fingers crossed.
Let's see. We're gonna do like the Q&A, and I've only got like 4, so unless someone comes in at the end and says something else, because a lot of them that people ask for actually in my first chunk of stuff. like inspirations and how you started.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Let's start with an easy one.
So, what's your favorite Pokemon? I know we talked about this.
So hard. That's like asking your favorite child. Although I feel like any parent that you ask that does have a favorite child. Probably they just don't want to talk about it.
I know my dad has a favorite. I can tell.
Yeah, I feel like I used to be the favorite, but I'm not anymore. My favorite Pokemon, I'd probably say Smoochum. Just for like whatever. But like Pokemon's hard because it's like, okay, like is Smoochum really like if you're playing Pokemon like usable? Like not really. But like I think it's probably my like favorite just because like I feel like she's like a drag queen. You know what I mean? Like she looks like me. So, you know, maybe I'm a narcissist, but
Yeah,
that's why I like her.
It's funny because I used to love Pokemon when I was like 7 when they first came, you know, big in America, and then again through high school. I don't think Pokemon became a thing really again until after I got to high school in like 2009 because like the games came out again and they're a lot like more popular. Because when I was younger, it was all about Pokemon cards, and it wasn't so much focused on the game. It was the show and the cards, and now I just think Pokemon in general, like all aspects of that is pretty popular, like the show, the movies, the merch, the cards.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things that kind of like comes and goes, and I think it like it's weird to like be an adult like looking at something that like I grew up with that's still like a thing. You know what I mean? Because it's like it's obviously aimed at a very different like they kind of because of them being like a multimedia kind of like thing, like there's different things aimed at different like audiences. And I'm like, I feel like not that I'm not as much of a fan anymore, but it's like I think it's just like a time thing. Like I know like I haven't touched like the games in forever, but it's just like it's just I think in general I don't have as much time for video games anymore.
As everyone's playing Animal Crossing like for 150
Yeah,
hours.
putting time into Animal Crossing.
Yeah.
Otherwise, like, and that's like a thing. Like, yes, I'm playing it a lot now, but like a month from now, like, how much will I really be playing it?
It's funny because I watch my coworkers open Pokemon cards and stuff like that, and like, I don't know what the cards mean anymore. Like the way that they're designed.
Like, I can't play with them. I just like the art.
So this question is from someone you might know. It's from a person called Liz, and they asked if we have questions for each other. That's the question.
And I'm putting it in the video.
Wow.
Wait, hold on. I forgot I had a soundboard app on my phone. Let me play.
Wow, that's a great question.
That's exactly what I was saying. I don't know. I didn't come in here with any questions. I was just like, let me just play it by ear and see.
Well, I figured anything I ask you, I'll just bounce off and answer my own question too.
Yeah, and you're doing an amazing job, sweetie.
Very good.
I only had like 3 things on here because I kept forgetting to open it, but I had like.
Wow, that's
Was that Helen?
Yeah.
I was like, I could tell what it was saying, but I was like, who is that?
We're all gonna have fun. Very good.
But yeah.
Smoothie.
Very good.
Let's see. Rebecca wants to know if you have any favorite drag off moments. I mean, there's so many.
I really enjoyed the drag off that I put together not that long ago. Granted, some of them were kind of deep cuts, and like when Liz listened to them, she was like, "No one's gonna know what the song is." And I was like, "Yeah, but if I get it, I will."
I like my drag offs.
And I feel like people enjoyed it for the most part. And then, oh my god, okay, my drag off memory, humiliating. I was so embarrassed. I was tipsy, but I was not drunk, and that's like my big disclaimer. Like I wasn't trashed, but I probably looked like I was, and that's why I was so embarrassed. I like tried to dance on Danny, and he like did not hold me, and I totally like he was on the couch, and I like fell on the floor like on my back, and I was like, everyone's probably watching me like, what the hell is happening? Like she's trash, and I was like, I'm not trash. I just thought he would hold me. And he
Rebecca, if you can find that clip, if you're watching this later on, if you find
please don't find the clip.
Was I there?
I'm sure you were.
I don't remember.
Okay, so it was.
I like I remember you falling.
From we're standing. It was when the couch was like right on the right,
Mhm.
I don't remember what the song was, but I like tried to dance on him, and I thought he would like hold me, and I could like kind of like lap dance a little bit, but he didn't hold me, and I literally like fell on my back on the floor, and everyone's like,
I must have been like drunk on my own doing something else.
"Oh my god!" And then Liz is like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "I'm fine. I'm just embarrassed."
I don't know what was that, you guys.
I don't know what was that.
I didn't make that a soundboard clip. So at the end of this, coming to a close, is there anything you want to plug? And also, where can we find your merchandise?
So I don't really have anything per se. Obviously, like nothing's coming up that I want to plug. I'm doing this Tuesday evening digital drag show, which has been fun. I feel like drag's come kind of like full circle for me, like just starting off as like a bedroom queen and now like hosting an Instagram live drag show. But that's fun because it is like I get to have people from all over the place join in on it.
Mhm.
So I have that on Tuesday nights, 8:30 Pacific time, 11:30 Eastern time. And it's kind of just like fun, whatever. Like I don't take it too seriously, but I also like I have told Helen in the past, like I would love to kind of grow into like a position where I feel comfortable doing like any kind of like hosting thing. So even if nothing else, like I feel like it's kind of putting me in a position where like I'm practicing those skills.
Mhm.
So I have that going on. Otherwise, not really. I don't think I have any other digital shows coming up that I can plug. Um,
Too bad you didn't call it See You Next Tuesday. That'd be funny.
I should have, but we can always just say it at the end.
Yeah,
Yes.
see you next. Well, now mom has to say it every single time.
Every time. But otherwise, yeah, I'm on Cameo. Those are stupid and fun. People ask me to say like the weirdest things. Speaking of, I have to film one after this for some guy named Bob.
My dad?
Maybe. Bob Blister.
Oh no.
Yeah. So they always ask for like really weird stuff on there, and I'm like, you know what? $8 for me to film a minute long me just saying like, hey Bob, works for me. But you can also buy my merch. I'm doing a fun, funky monthly merch, which is just like goofy, but I'm also like the business person side of me is like, okay, cool. People love limited edition stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's also just an excuse to kind of showcase different like artist friends of mine. So this month I had an idea in mind and I ended up doing it myself. But the past 2 months were artwork by different friends of mine. You know, where I either paid them for the art or gave them like a cut of, because you know, we're all about supporting our fellow queer artists. Otherwise, now on OnlyFans, that's my newest thing, which is just like, you know, whatever. I'm like, you know what? If I'm going to show off on Twitter for free anyway, I might as well make a couple dollars off of it. So if anybody wants the link, DM me, I guess. But otherwise, yeah.
On your Twitter, right? Like the links
yeah,
on
it's on my
yeah.
Twitter too. But yeah, that's pretty much what's going on with me.
So yeah, thanks for joining me on this late night edition.
Thanks for having me. I
OverAnalyzing.
can't wait to take off my tights and my pads and my
I can't wait-
heels. My
I
feet
can't
are
wait to go to this
killing
floor-length
me.
gown and these stiletto Louboutins I have
Oh,
on.
Helen,
right now.
make sure I look good when you edit this and post
Yeah,
this.
I'll put everything
Don't
in
post
content
anything
aware.
embarrassing.
Yeah.
Please, the whole
Oh my god, that would take me like a month to edit. But yeah,
But no, we do want a content aware katana sticker, shirt, something.
I should do. I was trying to do a content aware Twitch stream and like show people how I do it, but it just was not. It was like, nope.
I will, if you make it, I will buy it. So just keep that in mind.
And if I missed anything, I'll put it in the YouTube edits. And if anyone's watching, thanks for watching me on Facebook Live and watching your comments, mostly Cami and Rebecca and everybody. Say hi, Tessa. Yeah. We'll see you guys next time. Well, not next Tuesday, but whenever I upload next. Bye.
Bye, everybody. Thank you, Katana.
Bye. I'm just going to end the stream.